Thank you for joining us here at Lowry Sports Rhetoric. I am your host, Nathan, and this is
Daimon.
And today we're going to continue our discussion with the AFC West, the Broncos, Denver Broncos. 2021, their record was 7-10. They were fourth in the AFC West, and they did not make the playoffs. They were 19th in yards offensively, 23rd in points offensively. Defensively, they were 8th in yards and 3rd in points allowed. Defensively, they did give a good push there. Offensively, definitely struggled. GM is George Patton. He has been there just 1 year. It was his first year. Kind of hard to make a determination on how he did based on the product on the field because he's only been there 1 year. So, Coach Nathaniel Hackett is a new coach. Their ex-coach was Vic Fangio.
I want to talk about it now. Okay, so I'm going to weigh in on Mr. Look, this is the only thing I'm going to say. They were in a very tough division, went 7-9 and had a top 10, 7-10, and had a top 10 defense. And Fangio hadn't even finished his first contract yet. I think that's kind of rough firing a guy in that situation, personally.
I could definitely see that.
He's a defensive-minded guy, and the defense did good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went out and made a move because you knew your offense wasn't good. You made a big move, but you don't let the guy have a chance to see what he can do with that, with the new quarterback in place. Like, I feel like, to me personally, that was kind of a weak firing of Fangio. Mm-hmm. And I'm putting that on. Now, a lot of people know this in the NFL. Guys, when they become GMs, they typically like to get their own guy. So typically, if you have a GM hired with an old coach hanging around, that guy doesn't usually last long. But, Fangio's been a guy that was talked about to be a head coach for a long time. He came in, say what you want about him. That's a tough division, and he did good with the defense he had. And to have that record, I think that's, I don't know. I'm a little bit down on their decision to, maybe it'll turn out good. And Nathaniel Hackett's been around the league for a while. He's an offensive guy. So you're trying to bring in an offense that can compete with all those high-tang offenses in that division. Division. So I get that, but I don't know. I just feel like they probably could have let Fangio have at least one more year to see what he could do with the changes in place.
Yeah, I think you make a fair point. I could definitely see that. Quarterback situation down there wasn't great. Like you said, they still ended up at 7-10 in a very tough division. Even last year, it's gotten better, but it was good last year. So yeah. I agree with you. I think that defensively they performed well, and I don't know.
I would say the biggest criticism you could have of Fangio was that he didn't really give Locke a chance. Like, that would maybe be your biggest criticism. But if that's your criticism of him, if that reaches the level of he needs to go, then why do you get rid of the quarterback? Why not keep Locke and see what he can do with the new guy? I think there's a little bit of, I don't know. I see a missed message there, a little bit of inconsistency in the decision making from my point of view. So that's the only, like you said, it's 1 year in. It's hard to really know what to think. But I would say I kind of criticized that decision early.
But like you said, he brought in if he brought in his guy, if it was what he was looking for in a coach, as opposed to maybe it was just a philosophy problem, and he didn't really have a problem with what Vic Fangio was doing. Just philosophy wise, didn't work for what he wanted. So
yeah, very well could be the case, and if that's the case, and Hackett does a good job, then so be it. I just think starting out like that in a tough division, and you did what you're supposed to do with the defensive side. Yeah. That feels like a tough.
Yeah, it's not like they were
a tough way to go.
It's not like they only won 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
I get you.
Exactly.
All right, so free agent additions. We've got Randy Gregory, outside linebacker from Dallas. I do think that's a very solid ad there. I like him. I think that he's good, and he will definitely be a presence there on that defense.
Yeah.
DJ Jones, defensive tackle out of San Francisco. I don't know. It is what it is. You're adding depth there. I think that they're just trying to, fill some holes and stuff like that. Because they're, despite how good they are, I don't know. We'll get to that later. But Quan Williams, cornerback out of San Francisco. Again, I think there's a lot of just rotation, depth, trying to see who plays out, who fits the system, that kind of stuff like that. So Billy Turner, guard out of Green Bay. I think adding to the line there to protect Russell Wilson. Tom Compton, guard out of San Francisco. Again, just trying to see who can work here. Alex Singleton, linebacker out of Philadelphia. Blossom Austin, cornerback out of Seattle. A lot of these guys, and those are the additions that they had, don't really know much about a lot of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody on that list other than Gregory is a super sexy name.
Right.
A couple of those guys I would think of as solid players.
Sure.
And a couple of them are guys I don't really know.
Yeah, a lot of them were like rotation players, even So.
Yeah, but a couple of them, like Turner, was a decent guard for Green Bay. I would expect him to be decent.
Sure, the guard thing, yes.
And then the corner was okay. He has some potential to get better, maybe.
Sure. Free agent losses. Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback, went to Miami. Obviously, you knew he wasn't the guy. He's going there to be a backup. So, to me, no loss there. Kyle Fuller, cornerback, went to Baltimore. I do think that he's a decent player, but I understand why they were ready to move on with him, too.
And they didn't really use him. I mean, he was like their third or fourth corner.
Absolutely.
Can't look at that as a huge loss.
Sure, and they got good corners. So
yeah.
Kenny Young, inside linebacker, went to Vegas. Bryce Callahan, cornerback, went to the Chargers.
I like Callahan. I mean, they lost a couple of good corners, but they were deep at corners, so they could allow Harrison Ford to.
That's exactly right. They're deep at corner. Michael Ford, cornerback, went to Atlanta. They did get rid of a bunch of them. Let a bunch of them walk. Deshaun Hamilton, wide receiver, Houston, went to Houston.
And I think that hurts their wide receiver depth a little bit.
Sure.
He's a pretty good, decent.
Yeah, he was solid. Micah Kaiser, inside linebacker, went to Vegas. Nate Hairston, cornerback, went to Minnesota. Natrez Patrick, linebacker, went to Detroit. Andre Mintz, defensive end, went to Minnesota. And then Austin Schlottman, guard, went to Minnesota.
So, kind of like their additions, their subtractions, there's a couple of solid names there, but nothing too sexy. So,
sure.
Feels like they replaced depth with depth, and the sexy thing happened
right here.
Right.
So, trades, Russell Wilson, quarterback, Seattle, plus a 22 fourth round. And this is what they gave for him. 2023 first round, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, 2023 second round, 2022 first round, 2022 second round, and a 2022 fifth round. It is a sexy pick. Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. Obviously, everybody knows. Very intelligent guy, makes great decisions, competes at a high level. You know what I mean? That's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's an interesting thing too, because I feel like it's the kind of move you make when you're like, we're on the verge, we're a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. I don't see their team that way.
Yeah, I mean,
they're a good team. If they were in the NFC, it might make more sense.
Sure,
but
yeah,
we've talked about how we're going to continue to talk all week about how loaded this division is. And I mean, it's hard for me to look at them anywhere other than fourth in this division.
I mean, it's me too.
So even with this move, you're still fourth in your division. What's your future? It's kind of confusing to me. It's a confusing move from the standpoint of you make that move to open up a Super Bowl window, and I don't see a Super Bowl window.
I mean, I have to agree with you 100%, man. Like, obviously, I like Russell Wilson. He's a good quarterback. I don't know, like, you're going into a division with other good quarterbacks and good defenses. I don't know. I agree with you. I think, like, it's almost like throwing away kind of the future for what benefit. And, like, I hate to say that. Broncos fans are super excited about this, and I get that. But, man, like, when you look at the division and you look at what's on paper,
I mean, I suppose it does this. It makes you competitive.
It does.
So maybe that fills the seats for the next 4 years. But again, I've talked about this in some other videos. As a Bears fan, I've spent, 85 was amazing, and pretty much since then, which is the bulk of my life, it's watching teams that are the second or third best in your division either just make the playoffs and get bounced or just miss the playoffs. And yeah, you tune into every game because you never know when you're going to win, but there's no real satisfaction year in and year out, and over time that just gets to you. And I feel like they've set themselves up for that right now. Like a 5-year run or a 6-year run of being third or fourth in this division and just missing the playoffs. And that's it. And there'll be some exciting games. And you know what? You'll beat the Chiefs here, you'll beat the Chargers there, and everybody will get fired up. But it won't mean anything because you're still not going to make the playoffs in the end because those other teams are just better than you. And that's my opinion.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that a little bit more after we're done, but for sure. I mean, draft, round 2, number 64, Nick Bonito, linebacker out of Oklahoma. I actually really like this.
I like him too. High upside.
High upside. Yeah, and yeah, lots of potential. I agree with you, man.
Yeah, so when you give away your first round pick and then you get a guy like this in the second round who might in the end give you first round type talent,
sure,
that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
So I liked it too.
I like
that move. Yeah.
Round 3, number 80, Greg Dulcich, tight end out of UCLA. Again, you got rid of Noah Fant, who I think is actually a really good, he at least has the potential to be a really good tight end. Bringing Greg Dulcich in is a nice replacement. He really is.
So. I agree.
It's a good comparison, I believe. So,
well, and he is more of a pass catching tight end than a blocking tight end.
Yep.
So I think that works for what it seems like they're going to try to do, which is, chuck the ball because you got to keep up with the Joneses and
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. So I think he works for that. What they probably are going to be trying to do.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Round 4, number 115, Daree Mathis, cornerback out of Pitt. And obviously, you see that they did get rid of quite a few cornerbacks for depth. It's great to add them. They have a good, cornerbacks. So I think bringing in him was a good addition as well.
For depth reasons.
For depth reasons, absolutely. So round 4, number 116. Never going to get this right. Ioma Uwazuriki, defensive tackle out of Iowa State. I don't know how to say his name, but I think that he has a lot of value here. You know what I mean? Like,
I think for the 4th round, yeah, there's some potential there for sure.
Right. Round 5, 152. Delarian Turner Yell, safety out of Oklahoma. I like this as well. I was pretty high on a lot of their team. You know what I mean? So I mean, again, here at round 5,
Yeah.
Depth. Round 5, number 162, Montreal Washington, wide receiver out of Sanford. Don't know anything about him.
No, I don't know anything about him either.
Sanford. Round 5, number 171, Luke Waterberg, center out of Washington. Adding depth there. Round 6, number 206, Matt Henningsen, defensive end out of Wisconsin. And round 7, number 232, Fionn Hicks, cornerback out of Wisconsin. So you get some depth there. Again, I think, like you said, especially earlier in the draft, I feel like, they did get some really good value. After that, it's all, kind of depth players. They gave away so much for Russell Wilson. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, they're in that position now where, it's like what we said, they have a good, solid team. I don't know how much you're going to improve it. You're going to be able to make small improvements here and there. I think the tight end was an absolute necessity, and they took care of that.
I think that was a good one. Yeah.
And, Benito has some high upside.
Yeah, I agree. So, you got some stuff to go out there. I liked him a lot. All right, quarterback Russell Wilson, last year with Seattle, 3,113 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Not his greatest year ever. I don't know. It seems like that team was kind of, I don't know. It seems like they weren't in love with each other as much anymore. I don't know.
Could that have been something to do with his demands to be traded?
For real.
Did he maybe...
It did seem like...
Was he a locker room killer for last year?
It did seem like they struggled more than they usually do in Seattle last year, and I think that they had good weapons. So, yeah, it's interesting. Hopefully he can get rejuvenated here with the Broncos. I'm sure that they would love that. But he is a solid quarterback, so... a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback, so I shouldn't... All right, running back Javonte Williams was a rookie last year. Had 903 yards, 4 touchdowns, 43 receptions for 316 yards and another 3 touchdowns. That's a solid performance out of a rookie. I like that, and that's without a great quarterback throwing to you. So I think Russell Wilson could definitely utilize this kid, and we'll see how it goes. Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, 58 receptions, 776 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I'd like to see Cortland Sutton get a little bit more production, and I think that he probably will. Jerry Jeudy, 38 receptions, 467 yards, 0 touchdowns. He was injured most of the year. So those are in small sample size.
I got a feeling those numbers are going to go up considerably.
I do too. And here's the thing is I think that he's got a lot of upside. You haven't seen a whole lot of it, though, yet. But I definitely think the opportunity here for him to shoot them numbers up here right now. So hopefully he stays healthy throughout the season.
And the thing that's interesting about him, too, is like we talked about this when he got drafted. He is a really good route runner. And I think he kind of is reminiscent of, what's Seattle's wide receiver? Not Metcalf, but the other one.
Lockett.
Like he's a similar kind of player as Lockett, and Wilson and Lockett had a really good connection. So I would think that if we don't see it this year, in time, they will get that connection down, and I would expect him to be a big time producer.
Sure. Wide receiver Tim Patrick, 53 receptions, 734 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So he really got a lot of that, dispersed to him as well. So I think that's a solid wide receiving core. And then tight end Albert Alquabun, 33 receptions, 330 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, they could definitely benefit from Russell Wilson. I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's some weapons there. Those guys look like guys that could be good.
Yeah.
We'll find out who Wilson's comfortable with. That might be where you invest in improving in the future, possibly.
Sure.
If these guys don't gel, but
Cortland Sutton's quite a bit older too, right?
Sutton's getting older. I mean, Jeudy was a first-round draft pick,
and has some potential out there.
The tight end was really well regarded coming out of college, and then they drafted the tight end. So I think you've got pieces that could work. We'll see how they do work, and then they'll adjust to Wilson around that, I imagine.
Yeah, and I look for Javonte Williams to get a little better as well this year, obviously. So, and then tackle Garrett Bowles, or left tackle Garrett Bowles, left guard Dalton Reisner, center Lloyd Cushenberry the third, right guard Graham Glasgow, and right tackle Billy Turner. I actually really like their line.
I know it seems like a solid line.
That seems like a really good line. So
I mean, you better have a good line in this division.
Absolutely,
there's pass rushers everywhere.
So that is a bright side of them. I do. I like their line a lot. So all right, defensively, we've got left defensive end DJ Jones. Last year had 56 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 pass deflect out of San Francisco. Those are decent numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nose tackle Mike Purcell, 33 tackles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass deflect. Right defensive end Dramont Jones, 31 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 pass deflects. Weak linebacker Bradley Chubb, 21 tackles, 1 interception, 2 pass deflects in an injury-riddled year. He had some problems. Didn't see the field a whole lot there. But he has got a lot of upside. He's a good. I mean, that's a good linebacker.
Yeah.
Alex Singleton, inside linebacker, 137 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, and 4 pass deflects come over from the Eagles. That's a lot of work there. He's going to be a good addition.
That's a lot of work.
I mean,
somebody had to make tackles for the Eagles.
Yeah, somebody had to make tackles for the Eagles. Yeah, so I think that's a good addition.
That was a ringing endorsement. It's a lot of work there.
That's a lot of work there.
He sure did stay busy.
Yeah, he did. All right, right inside linebacker Josie Jewell, 8 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 pass deflect in an injury-riddled year. They had some injury problems last year. You know what I mean? Like, that is one thing. And they still, like you said, their overall defense was good, even though a lot of these players were injured a lot during it. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates as far as philosophy versus player.
You got new guy in charge, so that could affect things.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Then Randy Gregory, 19 tackles, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, 1 pass deflect for the Cowboys. That's good. That's good numbers there. I mean, he's got a lot of diversity, and he's all over the place. So the left cornerback, we have Ronald Darby, 53 tackles and 6 pass deflects. Strong safety, Kareem Jackson, 88 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, 2 pass deflects. Free safety Justin Simmons, 80 tackles, 1.5 sack, 5 interceptions, and 12 pass deflects. And then their other cornerback, Pat Surtain, who was a rookie last year, 58 tackles, 4 interceptions, one touchdown, and 14 pass deflects. That kid is going to be a stud. That kid is a stud.
I think that's a good secondary, honestly. That's a good secondary.
It is, and that's good because you're going to be facing a whole lot of problems in this. Look, overall, let's talk about the team. I just don't see any path that they don't finish fourth in here. I don't know. Maybe with the Raiders, maybe they can jump up to the third. I don't see it that way.
Well, you never know when injuries could happen. So, Mahomes gets injured.
I mean, I can see that. Yeah, okay.
So you never know about injuries. But, yeah, so they're going to be competitive. And if there's injuries, maybe they can make a move. But, again, like what we said at the top, it just seems like...
I don't know.
It seems like the team that should be in rebuilding mode in this division, and instead of going that way, they went all in on trying to stay competitive. And, like I said, that's been a formula the Bears have used for a long, long time, and it's not a formula to success, in my opinion. Like, when you're competitive but not better than your fellow conference, it's just a hard way to go. And I think it's going to be a hard thing for...
Yeah, I think in other divisions, man, this team would be competing right there. You know what I mean? I really do. It's just, unfortunately for them, they're in the toughest division that is out there. And their team, while good, isn't great necessarily. You know what I mean?
I mean, if they're in your division instead of this one.
Sure.
They're
competing
second
with the Colts, and that's it.
They're competing with you guys for first.
Maybe Tennessee.
They're definitely second. I think they're definitely, at this point, better than Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then Houston, Jacksonville, not even there. So... you replace them with you guys, and they're winning that division and going to the playoffs for sure. So, part of it is just being stuck in that loaded division. Like we said, you put them in the NFC, and I think they're a lock for a playoff berth.
And if I remember correctly, wasn't the whole Russell Wilson trade kind of what kicked off the whole everything in that division? Was that, or was it? You know what I mean? Like where all of a sudden all of these defensive players started coming into these teams and stuff like that.
Well, the Russell Wilson trade did happen before that, but I don't know. I think it
how
did.
much of a domino?
How much of a domino would they have done it anyway? Just because of Mahomes and Herbert, and the defenses have to keep up with the Joneses.
It just was interesting to me because it did seem like there was so much hype there, and then as other things started happening around the league with the other teams, it was almost like, oh man, like here the Broncos were kind of looking like, okay, we kind of made ourselves competitive, and then as time went, it was like, man. So now, just to be clear, yeah, I'm not crapping on them. I think that they're a good team. They are solid. You know what I mean? Those are good players, man. But it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Like I said, I'm skeptical that it's going to work out well and that the fans are going to be happy with what happens with the cost. That's the biggest thing for me, is that the cost of Russell Wilson. So,
yeah, I mean, it prevents you from having, it pretty much puts you all in on the next 4 to 5 years, and I don't see the weapons there to be successful.
Yeah, maybe towards the end of his contract or towards the end of it that they start to kind of surpass things with additions and stuff. But right now, it's hard to look at that way.
Well, the additions become harder because 1, you're paying Russell Wilson a lot of money, and 2, you don't have the draft picks. So it makes it so the GM's about to be on point. He's got to find value in free agency. He's got to find value in the 4th and 5th round, and it's possible, hard to do. Especially when the other teams have the chance to do the same thing with better rosters. So,
agreed. Anyways, all right. Well, thank you for giving us a watch. And if you got something out of this content, please give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Hey, let us know in the comments what you thought. Broncos fans, we're saying you're 4th. We're saying that's probably as good as you can hope for. 4th with an entertaining season, but still 4th. You disagree? Let us know. Let us know why we're wrong. Let us know who in that division you think you're better than. We'd love to have that dialogue.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us a watch, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.